Hey, it's Ryan from the Carb Situation. Remember, I'm not a doctor, I'm not a nutritionist, I'm not a trainer. I'm just a human guinea pig who likes to read a lot and willing to experiment. If you go on the journey with me, maybe you'll learn what I learned. Oh yeah, and I curse a lot. Let's do this. In this video, I'm going to tell you all about my project. So sit back, relax, grab popcorn, whatever you do. Let's get started. So my name is Ryan Phillips. I'm 43 years old. I'm about 5 foot 10 inches tall. I'm originally from southern Colorado, but I live in northern Colorado right now. These days, I enjoy a pretty healthy lifestyle, I think, certainly compared to what I used to be. I've got plenty of bad habits in my past that I've either kicked or curbed, but I eat pretty smart and I exercise and I get my good sleep and I do all those things and I enjoy a pretty healthy lifestyle overall, in my opinion. As for exercise, part of my project or experiment here you're going to find is that exercise is great for the body, but it's not a very great vehicle for weight loss. I like to exercise because I want to keep my muscles in shape. I want to feel strong and flexible. I want to keep my joints moving well. I want to keep my heart healthy. I want to do all of those things and have plenty of energy and sleep better. And exercise provides so many benefits. Just weight loss doesn't happen to be a very good one. For exercise, I have a Bowflex, believe it or not, that I use for strength training. A lot of the meatheads will tell you that that's no good. You have to do free weights, but I'm living proof that you can strength train with the Bowflex. And I'll even have a video of my workout elsewhere. As far as cardio, I don't like running very much. It's kind of hard on my knees and ankles and just haven't ever enjoyed it that much. I'll do it a little bit, but mainly I like to ride my bicycle. I have a specialized sector road bike that I ride. I got about over 5,000 miles on it. And that's my main forms of exercise that I like to partake in. One last thing I'd like to say about myself is that I used to be able to eat anything I want. In my 20s, I ate horribly. I ate garbage all the time. Plenty of sugar, fast food. A lot of the stuff you're going to see me eat in the next several weeks. But I never seemed to gain any weight. And that was a luxury I didn't realize that I had. Once I got older, of course, as many of you know, that superpower goes away and you start gaining weight, and a lot of us don't know why. So we ask our doctor and he says, well, you're either eating too much or you're not moving enough. So you need to eat less and exercise more. And so I tried that many, many times, but it just didn't work. And I'll get into that here in a little bit. But like many of you, perhaps, I used to be able to eat anything I want, didn't exercise. My body stayed just fine. Now I have to pay much more attention. But once I learned the secrets, I don't want to sound hypey, but once I got the correct knowledge and started following the correct advice, it really wasn't as hard as I thought it would be. I do expect this to be quite hard, but I think we'll all be pleasantly surprised that we can keep our body in a lot better shape with a lot less effort than we've been led to believe. It's the psychological effort that can be a little bit difficult, but we're going to attack that as well. So that's a little bit about me. Let's move on to what exactly this project is. So what is this project I keep talking about? Well, basically what I'm going to do is I'm going to switch my diet from what I eat now to what I would call a traditional, somewhat unhealthy Western diet. So you're going to see me eat a lot of sugars and sweets, fast food, things like this, sodas, a lot of the stuff that we all get advertised to and we eat just because we don't know any better. While I'm eating that diet, I plan to gain substantial weight. I think I'm going to gain in the order of 30 to 40 pounds and plenty of body fat. So we'll be keeping good track, but once I get to about 220 pounds or 230 pounds, I haven't decided which, then there's going to be a stop point where I change my diet back to what I currently eat, and hopefully if my ideas are correct, we'll see the body fat and the pounds start to melt away. During the entire experiment, I'm going to maintain a very consistent exercise regimen. So I travel a lot, which makes it hard, but it's still going to be consistent going up and going down. So I ideally like to strength train 3 times a week, and I like to ride my bicycle 2 or 3 times a week. So while I'm eating a poor diet, I'm going to be doing that exercise. And when I switch, I'm not going to increase my exercise. I'm going to keep it the same. So I think another tagline that we've all heard that could be applicable to this project is you can't out-train a bad diet. I want to keep my exercise the same both ways so that it proves the exercise had very little or nothing to do with my weight gain nor my weight loss. Throughout the entire project, I want to be completely transparent. I'm going to show you everything that I eat, all the exercise that I do. I'm going to show you everything that my scale tells me for my measurements. I'll give you random videos just for the fun of it, things that I'm doing, things that I'm eating. Okay, so how am I going to pull all of this off? Well, for the first half of the project, I'm going to be eating traditional Western diet. So you're going to see a lot of carbohydrates, breads, pastas, potatoes, sweets, sugars, sodas, all that stuff. And we're going to see what it does to my body. Then I'm going to switch back to the diet that I currently use and hopefully lose the weight and the fat and get my health back to where it was. And it'll be a fun journey to follow along with. The way that I'm going to measure all of this is I'm going to use MyFitnessPal for logging all of my food. I'm going to use Google Fit and Map My Ride for my exercise. I think my strength training I'll have to input manually because I don't have a good way to automatically track that, but that's no big deal. I'll be inputting that. I have an impedance scale that will give all of my body metrics like my weight, BMR, body fat percentage, visceral fat, subcutaneous fat, all those different things, and I'll do that daily. I do acknowledge that the impedance scale may not be the most accurate, but it's very practical for this situation, and I'm less worried about ultra accurate, and I'm more worried about consistency. So if I use the scale, the same scale, in the same way every day, then even if one of my metrics or several of my metrics are off by a tiny bit, as long as they're always off by the same amount, I want to measure the change in my body, not trying to go for an exact number. So it is pretty exact and it's pretty remarkable to me, but it probably won't be as accurate as if I went into a lab and had them test me. So that's how I'm going to measure all of my food, exercise, and metrics. I'm going to do that daily throughout the entire project, and I'll have it up on my website. So you'll be able to see everything that I put in my body, all of the different exercises that I do, which is kind of boring, frankly. It's not as much as you might think, and it's usually the same things. And be able to follow along. That's how we're going to do this. Now we've come to the why portion of this video. Why am I doing this project? Well, probably like many of you who are middle-aged, I used to be able to eat whatever I want. I didn't exercise very much, and my body just kind of stayed the same. It didn't really matter. And I didn't realize that that was a superpower that would eventually go away. So in my 30s, I began to gain some weight and didn't know why, because I hadn't really changed anything. Mind you, when I was in high school, I was a scrawny little kid. I think I was 135 pounds when I graduated, something like that. So this sudden weight gain in my 30s was kind of odd to me. So I did what the professionals tell us to do. I decided to start exercising more and trying to eat less. And needless to say, it didn't work very well. The pounds kept coming on slowly, and no matter what I did, seemed to work. I remember especially about 2 years ago, I was starting to get very frustrated with my weight, and I like to ride my bicycle, as I've pointed out. So I just started upping the intensity and the consistency. And before you know it, I was riding usually a little over 20 miles, usually about 22 miles a day, 5 or 6 days a week. And that's a lot. I mean, each one of those rides is burning usually anywhere between 15 and 1800 calories. And then I would start starving myself, which sucked. And I continued to stay the same weight or even gain slightly. And I was at wit's end. Man, I started getting into really bad moods. And I think it was just the frustration of I'm doing everything and more of what everyone says to do, and it's not working. In fact, it's still getting worse. And so I'm sure lots of people can relate to that. So in my quest to try to get my shit under control, I read a lot. I always read a lot. I read a lot about everything. I'm really into self-improvement and things like this. So I'm reading a lot about different weight loss techniques, and you know, I've read a lot of the classics that you may have heard of or read. Fit for Life, you know, different ones. But the book that changed it all is actually this one right here. It's called Why We Get Fat and What to Do About It by Gary Taubes. So I read that book, and frankly, it changed my life. It not only told me what to eat and what not to eat. As a matter of fact, it's not even very good at that. But what it did do was explain the science behind why we get fat. And once you understand the science, then you don't have to look at it as a gimmick anymore of, oh, well, if you do ab crunches, then, you don't have to mess with it. The science explains it all, and he does a fantastic job. So that sort of became my Bible of diet, if you will. And I've really taken to what he talks about in there. I'm going to explain a lot of it to you guys on WTF Wednesdays. I've actually read the book, I think, 7 or 8 times so far. So I'm pretty familiar with it. And it's worked great for me. So once I sort of got this knowledge where I felt like I could control what happens to my body, it didn't seem so much happenstance. It wasn't just by chance anymore. I used to feel like I would start doing something, and maybe my weight would go down and I would get excited about it, but then I would keep doing it and it would change again. And I didn't feel like I had any control over what my body looked like, how I felt, any of those things. So it was nice to feel like I have some knowledge and some control over what happens to my body now. That's what I want to share with you guys. I want to prove on camera and in data that if you eat like this, you become like this. If you eat like this, you become like this. And I'm not going to hype it up and talk a bunch of shit. I'm just going to do what I do. You're going to watch it and you're going to see exactly what happens when I eat garbage and still exercise, or when I eat smart and still exercise. So I'd rather the proof be in the pudding, and I want the actions and the data to speak a lot louder than what I tell you on these videos. Another reason why I want to do this project is because I think it's going to be fun. I think it'll be interesting to be accountable to you, the viewer, and I think I'm going to learn a lot more, because I certainly don't know everything about how the body works. I don't know. I'm no guru of anything. As a matter of fact, there's a chance that my entire experiment will backfire and blow up in my face, and I'll become this huge fat guy that has no other recourse. And I will be really sad that I even undertook this whole thing. But I think I know what I'm doing, and I think it's going to be fun. And like I said, I think I'm going to learn a lot more. Hopefully you'll learn along with me, and we can both be healthier for it. If I can just help someone else who had a similar problem as me, then I'll consider the entire project a success. If you are a person who is not happy with the shape of your body, or more importantly, how well you feel, I'm going to get into that a lot. This is not just about, I want to get rid of my love handles or whatever. The health benefits and how I feel are very substantial. But if you're a person who doesn't like the way they feel, or doesn't like the way exactly how their body is right now, and you know that you can do something about it, but you don't know what, if you've tried things like different diets or different exercise regimens or things like this that haven't worked for you, and you feel like you have the knowledge because many authorities and doctors and people like this have told you this knowledge, so there's no reason to believe you don't already understand. But what you're trying isn't working, then you're in the right place. Because I thought I knew exactly what it took to keep my body in check and keep feeling well. So I did those things, and it didn't work. And I read this magical book over here, and now I know what it takes to keep my body in the shape that I want it, and more importantly, to feel good and avoid what they call Western diseases, I hope. Which are a lot of the bad things like cancer and Alzheimer's and things like this. So I want to pass this knowledge on to you by way of proof, by data, and by seeing what happens to my body. You'll be able to look at the pictures, look at the data, and it'll be very easy. We'll talk about psychology a lot, how to get to a point where you can eat the things that you're supposed to and it's not hard for you. That kind of sounds easier said than done. And it's not easy, but I have tricks and advice to help you get along with that part of it. So that's why I'm doing this whole experiment, is to hopefully show with tons of evidence and proof what happens when you do certain things with your diet. And finally, we come to, where can you find me? Well, certainly you can find me here on YouTube. I hope you'll hit that subscribe button and the bell icon so that you'll be notified as the journey progresses when new videos come out and you won't miss a single thing. But for my data, I'm going to put it all on my website, which can be found in one of two places. You can go to thecarbsituation.com, or more simply, tcs.wtf. That will take you right there as well. The schedule that I'm planning to use is we'll have weekly check-ins on Sunday where I will kind of tell you what has happened over the past week, maybe kind of what I'm planning in the next week, take a rundown of my current metrics, things like this. Just kind of a check-in to see how I'm doing every week. And finally, if you want to get in touch with me, just email me at ryan@tcs.wtf. And I hope you enjoy the journey as much as I do. Thanks for watching.